Good afternoon, Marietta. This is Cole Longcor here on WCMO 98.5. We got a special live interview coming out for you today. So, without further introduction, we have Dave Shelton. Dave, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Is this on?
Yeah.
Is the mic on?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're live. We're good.
Cool. I'm going deaf. I'm going deaf anyway as a musician, but not as bad as Brian Johnson, though. And so, but at least he's got his hearing back.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here, by the way.
All good. It's great to have you in today on this rainy Labor Day. So, obviously, you can probably do a better introduction than I can. Certainly looking over your resume today, I mean, it would take up half the show if I tried to read that.
That's true. I've been around. It's like one of those older guys, like, I've had a lifetime of experience, but I'm not good at any of it. Well, I'm a film and television writer, cartoonist, voice actor, author, and musician. Originally from New Jersey, which I understand you are,
Yep.
which is so cool. I love that connection, but I love Ohio. And I studied at the New School, went to University of Florida, studied film and TV. Then I got into the workplace, which is when I was with MTV when it first started. I worked with the original VJs, and I was also a rock journalist for Tiger Beat, which probably your sister, if you had one, read and stuff. Not too many guys read Tiger Beat, or moms and dads and stuff. And then I worked with Nickelodeon. I worked on Double Dare, which people are like, I can't believe people still are so enamored over that game show. But I was an artist for them. And then as a rock journalist, I got to cover everything from like the Grammys to major concerts and things like that. The only thing I regret about that era is all the backstage passes I had. I trashed them. And I like, who figured they were going to be worth something?
Yeah.
And so I started, saving more of the recent ones and things. Then I got to work with Tim Allen and Robert Wall, who was in Batman. And that prompted me to move to LA. And one of my dream jobs was to work for National Lampoon. Because, from Animal House and all those, and Caddyshack and things like that. So as soon as I got to LA, as serendipitous as it was, I got an opportunity to meet with the people from Lampoon. And I showed them my resume and things, and they said, you were so warped, you were perfect for this organization. So I became a writer, senior writer, and had a cartoon projects there, and I did everything from the magazine to products to touring, things like that. Worked with Comic Relief with the Robin Williams and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of Whoopi Goldberg, by the way, and stuff. But Robin Williams and Billy Crystal were awesome. Then we had like people like Chris Farley on board, which is cool. And one of the coolest things, and I had no idea he was gonna like so blow up, was Jamie Kennedy. He was just starting out when we were at Lampoon, and he was trying to do stand-up and things like that. But we just clicked, as a writing team and stuff, and working together. So, and then, of course, Scream made him a star and things. And I love that he's weirder now than he was back then. Like, if you see his stand-up, he definitely affects the audience, especially the women. Like, I think he triggers them on purpose, which is great. I'm so sick of politically correct, and being that kind of a writer. So from there, I got an opportunity to work at Everybody Loves Raymond as a writer and cartoonist there. So I worked in season 4. Episodes were like Hacky Doo, and I created all the Hacky Doo characters for that. Bully on a Bus, the Christmas Picture, episodes like that. And then from there, I said, you know what, it's time for me to break out and do my own stuff. But I also got to work with Stephen Furst, who was Flounder, but then went on to do everything for Babylon 5 and stuff. An amazing guy, one of the coolest. And I used to break him up, which was like so funny because he's worked with every major comedian. He said, you break me up more than anybody. Oh, that's so sweet. And then as a musician, I got to write with Albert Haig, who wrote How the Grinch Stole Christmas, all the music for that. He was in Fame and Space Jam. He was a psychiatrist in the good Space Jam, not that horrible LeBron James on it. Sorry, Cleveland. Well, he's in LA now anyway. But and then from there, I produced and directed and wrote a lot of different things. Did a series called Against Type that I brought Steven in for, and a young Jeanette McCurdy, if you know who Jeanette is. What an awesome person she was and things like that. But I mean, now she has her book, and I can understand. There was I wrote the theme song for Special Olympics, so I would invite her. This is when like iCarly was just starting out, and we would do like all the celebrity appearances at the games and stuff. Then one day I had seen her in a market in the valley, and she looked despondent and stuff, and her mom was with her, and it was when her mom was going through cancer and everything. But I could tell there was something wrong, and now looking at this book that just came out, it explains a lot. It was really obvious of what her mom was doing for her, as much as the guilt she was trying to put on her because of the cancer and stuff. But I'm glad she's speaking up, and I'm hoping to work with her again. I've got a lot of projects in the pipeline. I also got to be a cartoonist at Disney and Warner Brothers. I worked on Tweety and Sylvester, and then I worked with Klasky Supo, Rugrats, Real Monsters, and stuff like that. Disney, I worked on the 101 Dalmatians TV show. I was drawing poodles. I was penciling poodles and stuff. Say that 5 times. Oh, that would be a good name for a band, wouldn't it? The Penciling Poodles. But I'm not going to take that name. So.
No. It's now out there for everybody. Think about it.
You guys can use that name. You can take credit for it. It's fine like that.
Next year, I want to see like an all-girl punk band named the Penciling Poodles. It's
that would be
now.
So cool. Which is funny because I worked with the Dolly Rots. Do you know who those are? Yeah. I love them. Kelly and things like that, and her husband, and the little baby Dolly Rots and their little bunnies and things. So so after that, and with my ex-fiance, and also as an author, I put out a book called Brain Explosion, which was a collection of all my work from Lampoon, my politically incorrect cartoons and musings and things like that. And I originally worked on a book on stand-up with Betsy Borns, who went on to be producer for Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original one, the good one, on, with Melissa and stuff. Well, it was a book on stand-up, and I got to work with all of the stand-ups back in New York. This was before I moved out. So I got to have dinner with Andrew Dice Clay in New Jersey.
That's
like,
fun.
You know where Ramsey is?
Yeah.
Okay, right off of Route 17. Oh, my gosh. The way he was in like Ford Fairlane and all those specials, he's normally nice, but oh my God, the way he treated the waitress there, I was like, I'm not with him. But he's hilarious.
Yeah.
And he is a really nice guy, you know, that's a persona and stuff. But, you know, like me, he doesn't put up with crap. And I like that because he's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
So, and then I got to work with Richard Lewis and all the other big comics of the day and things, and Rodney and stuff. That was one of my idols to me and stuff. You know, he inspired a lot of my comedy writing.
Like, she was so fat, she could fit around the building twice.
So, and then I started getting this book out, Brain Explosion. It was picked up by Barnes & Noble, and it's on Amazon. It's from Bear Manor Press, which is a big publisher of celebrity books and stuff. And then I've always thought, like, you know, it's great for people who self-publish because then they can get out there, but you're putting your own money into it.
Yeah.
And there was that expression, like, only a fool invests in himself and thinks money-wise. So I've always been someone who said, you know what, I'm the creator. Let's get someone as the producer, someone to put the money up, same you do for film, TV, things like that. So I was able to find that, and then I'm actually adapting that now into a sketch comedy show, like Saturday Night Live, the good part of Saturday Night Live back in the old days, or Fridays, or Mad TV. In fact, Deborah Wilson's going to be part of it, and Tommy Davidson, and Judy Tenuta. I don't know if you remember her. She was in the Weird Al show and stuff. She's the one with the accordion and stuff. Judy! And I'm sending out prayers. She's going through chemo now, but she's a fighter, so she's going to make it. And then from there, I also, I'm really into horror because I write a lot of that, and I've been to a lot of horror cons. So I wrote this thing called Professor Creepy's Scream Party. I've always been inspired by like old horror hosts, Elvira, Zachary, the old show from the 60s. And then a Vincent Price show called The Hilarious House of Frightenstein. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's Canadian. And Billy Van, who was a regular comic on like the Sonny and Cher show, and he did like Smothers Brothers and Laugh-In and things like that. He was also the guy, if you look up retro commercials, is the guy in those Colt 45 commercials where like the guy jumps out of a plane and he drops down onto the beach, and this guy's sitting at the table on the beach and he brings him the Colt 45. That's Billy and stuff. Amazing character actor and stuff. So I said, you know what, I'm going to create a character called Professor Creepy, because I was looking up to see if anybody else had anything new and similar, and it just exploded. I just wrote it in like half an hour. It's like a bunch of sketch comedy of horror with different characters. And one of my best friends was Irwin Keyes, who your listeners might know from House of a Thousand Corpses, The Flintstones, Friday the 13th. He was Wheezy Joe in Intolerable Cruelty. I mean, he had like this like low voice and stuff. Really awesome guy and stuff. So I wrote for him, and then I got all these other actors in it. And one of my best friends is Martin Kleba, who's from Pirates of the Caribbean, the little person. I love little people. I even had little people in Against Type and stuff, Michael Gilden and things. His wife was the one that played William Shatner's girlfriend in Boston Legal and stuff, the one he was cheating with and stuff. And I mean, it sounded like all these people that I've worked with in the past are gone, and I'm like, oh no, I got to hang out with younger actors and things. So we did this sitcom and this sketch comedy show, and it got picked up by both of them. Got picked up by Amazon. And Against Type almost made it to NBC. The pilot aired on like 30 different markets around the country, and we were so close to getting a network deal. Then, of course, they opted for something else, but at least we aired. A lot of pilots don't even get to air, so at least we aired. And then Amazon picked both pilots up for a while, and now I'm working on getting Professor Creepy as a full series. Going to do that. So other writings that I did, I worked with Nancy Lee Grahn from General Hospital and did a children's book with her, because I also write bizarre children's books. And one called The Lemming Shepherds, which we did a soundtrack for also. And American Express sponsored it, and it sold all over the world. And I'm adapting that into a feature film now. And then, let's see. And then I decided to do a children's book called Bag Boy and Sweet Slob. That's one of the most recent books. And that was inspired by my ex-fiance and I, because, oh my God, I loved her, but she's a crazy person. She's like a border hoarder, I call her, but she's so sweet. I call her Sweet Slob, but she called me Bag Boy, because like you go to all these events and they give out swag bags and things like that, or you go to Comic-Cons and everyone gives out bags at the beginning. So I'm really into recycling, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to just hold these and people could use them? And she's, oh my God, taking up the closet. And I said, you know what's taking up the closet are all your friggin' clothes and your shoes. Why don't you put some in these bags that I have and stuff? So she said, well, why don't you just write a story about it and like leave me alone? That's kind of how it went. So I sat down on my computer, and 20 minutes later I had the first draft. So I shopped it around and found a publisher in West Virginia, coincidentally enough, because after 30 years, after I wrote it and I was initially trying to find a publisher, that's when she broke up with me for the third time. I go, who does that? Only a psychiatrist woman, right? And then she decided to move back to Jersey. She's a nurse practitioner as a psychiatric. And I said, okay, well, you do that and I'll figure out what I'm going to do when I get back to LA. What do? I give up our apartment and I move her to New Jersey, and we take this huge National Lampoon Vacation type road trip across the country. But I mean, there was some cool stuff. We stopped off at I was a guest at the UFO Fest in Roswell, which was so cool. Half the people there were in aluminum foil, and in fact, they had a vendor selling aluminum foil.
Really?
I go, like, only there.
I wonder what the markup is on that. I mean,
Oh,
like,
I know. It was like crazy, but everyone had their receptors on, and they were all like looking up at the sky at night, going like, and but they did have some cool. It was like a cosplay for UFOs and things like that. And then we went to like I got to play guitar at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
nice.
which was really, really cool. Because I've worked with Cheap Trick. Robin Zander's a really good friend of mine, and I actually wrote a script for him and Jamie and Scotty Schwartz, who was in Christmas Story. He was the kid who got his tongue stuck to the pole. Cool guys. I said, I'm going to write the most insane comedy about an ex-child star who becomes like this deadbeat derelict and stuff, and suddenly he inherits all this money from a fan, and he puts on this huge party, and he invites Cheap Trick to play, and Jamie's like his best friend, former rock star, Burnout and stuff. So they all have this huge party, and then the guys from the estate with the family kidnap him, and Cheap Trick and Jamie go to rescue him. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So it's like actually Cheap Trick are actors in the movie and stuff.
That's awesome.
And Jamie Kennedy loved it, and Robin thought it was like brilliant. And I said, well, I better sell this while you guys are still alive and on tour and stuff. I mean, they're still touring, which is awesome.
No, I've seen them, I don't know, 2 or 3 times now.
Out here?
Over at Bethel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Woodstock, yeah.
That amazing in concert, like live performing and stuff. And Robin's voice has not altered all these years and stuff, which is so cool. And they keep churning out better and better albums.
Yeah.
Like the last few have been really, really cool since like Bang Zoom. I actually worked on the cover for that.
Really?
Yeah, but then the record label decided to go with something sort of like stock art, it looked like. Basically, just some Bang Zooms, little things with sound bubbles and stuff. So, but I still have the original album cover for it. Maybe someday I'll release it and stuff. And then I said, when I got back, I said, what am I living in LA for with all the crap that's going on there? After 30 years, I've been burnt out. Nothing's really happening. This was 2019. So I gave up the apartment, and I looked around. Since I started out as a journalist, I thought, I'm just going to take a few months and become a writer somewhere, get a writing gig. So I looked around. I went to everything, like from Project Veritas, and applied there to all, because I'm a conservative. And that didn't go over well in LA either, when all this stuff came out politically. So I said, all right, and I applied to Newsweek. I mean, everyone who was looking and stuff. Well, I found the paper in Sistersville, West Virginia, on journalismjobs.com. And I said, you know what? If they want me, I have friends from West Virginia, and I'm friends with Don Knotts' daughter, and she's from West Virginia. So I got the job, moved out, and it was weird, though, because the gig took place on the paper at the Wells Inn, which is a very famous historical hotel. Because now it's been turned into crap hole and stuff, because this guy's probably not going to listen, but the owner was like a slumlord in New York. And then he went down, and somehow he got this place, and I lived the first 10 months there. There was mold and rats and things like that. I mean, this is a historical place and everything, which is just so sad. But that was part of my contract. So I became like a political and investigative reporter there. And then when the contract was over, I said, that's it. This guy doesn't he lost all his reporters. And I found another place in Cincinnati. I said I could go back, but I loved it out here. I fell in love with the people and the area and stuff. And then I knew about Marietta, mostly because of the stern wheels and because of the Ohio River and things. And when I was a kid, we used to go down the Ohio River in Pittsburgh. Like, we would drive out there. And I wanted to take a raft, but they wouldn't let us. I think there was a city ordinance. You can't have wood on a, just kind of strapped together with a pole, especially during tides and things and currents. So I stayed, and since I've been out here, I've been, as I said, more creative. The children's book, the second one's written. Then I started creating. I was looking for radio because I also have a lot of experience in radio. I worked on NBC radio, and at the University of Florida, I worked on some of the pro radio stations down there, WGVL, things like that in Gainesville. And I said, you know what? I did an interview with one of the guys at the local high school, has a radio station. And he says, with your background, do you want to do a show? And his name's Greg Goodfellow, great guy and stuff, still in radio. And he works with people from like Westwood One and things like that. So I said, sure. I said, I've always wanted to do like a Dr. Demento kind of horror show. And he said, well, why don't you? So I sat down, created this character called the Groovy Grave Creeper. And one of my inspiring voices from old radio was on Life of Riley. I don't know, William Bendix, who did a lot of film noir back in the 50s. Well, he also did a lot of comedy. And he had this radio show called Life of Riley. And one of the characters is a grave digger mortician named Digger. And he had this weird low voice that you would expect from someone like a Boris Karloff type. And he'd be like,
hello, Riley. You know, I'm out today doing things that I don't think you'd like.
It's just kind of like, I love that voice. It was a little crusty and things like that. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to use that type voice, but change it for me. And he just sort of came out, and then I started writing it, and it just sort of flowed. You know how like some things just sort of come out? That's why I called my book Brain Explosion, because I never get writer's block. Sometimes it's like overwhelming because everything just churns out of me. Like 20 feature film scripts, like 35 TV series I've created, all these radio, the books, products, everything and stuff. So, but I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on that. The book's already out with the publisher. I don't have to worry about that. And I just started recording the show, first in their studio. And then he left the school, so I have a home studio, you know, which is a laptop and a mixer, which nowadays you can do. And I just started producing the show. And he ran it on his station. Then it got to another West Virginia station. I said, you know what, I'm going to syndicate it. So I started shopping around for different stations. A station in Maryland picked it up. Then a station in Buffalo, New York picked it up. And then I talked to you guys out here. I said, this will be great, because I love listening to your station. So, because I love college radio anyway and stuff. So, because it's so independent, you know, except with the FCC, with some parameters, you know, it can pretty much play what you want. And I thought this would be a great station to come to. And I sent it off, and here we are. And I'm so honored and excited that you picked it up.
No, I mean, it's a really fun show. Starting this week, we'll actually start airing it twice a week, so that'll be a lot of fun. Have the Halloween special. Well, that's amazing, and we're including that in our annual Spooktacular.
That would be
here
cool,
at the station.
yeah.
So,
and that's an extended show and stuff.
But no, I mean, a lot of fun, and you guys will have to tune in. I think we're starting it up either Tuesday or Thursday this week, so.
Okay, is that tomorrow? Or
that's why I said or Thursday.
Oh, okay.
But we need to
but
see
I mean
what
this
we're
week
starting.
then.
Yeah,
so.
Yes, definitely starting it this week, and we just gotta see with the holiday weekend and stuff what schedules and stuff are like for this coming week adapted-wise.
And for the listeners, what time are you gonna air it?
We'll do 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So yeah.
2 o'clock Pacific time for all my West Coast fans.
Yeah, but for all of us here in the MOV, you guys can start tuning in this week on your drive home from work. So
that would be awesome. And one thing that I love about this too is being like Dr. Demento, you can play anything you want. And because I love all different genres of music. I mean, I like country, but I'm kind of sick of it. And the show wasn't meant for country, you know, so I play everything from goth to metal to, I even play novelty songs like that, and then psychedelic music, which is a big influence and things. And I also play like old movie trailers for horror movies and things. And then I have letters, which is called Letters from Down Below. And stuff like that.
Letters from Down Below.
And I make up letters from monsters and creatures like Freddy. Like Freddy writes into the show and things, or Michael Myers, things like that.
Yeah.
It's funny. And then I play old commercials from like the 60s, like old coffee commercials and things, which is so, and people love that. And then some of the shows, like you'll see at the beginning, I sort of ended early, and then I have a tag at the end of it, like, don't leave yet, the show's, and that inspiration was from the Monkees, the series and things, because a lot of times the episodes, and I know Mickey Dolenz really well, they would end the show early with the story, and then they'd have them all sit there with the producer going, hey guys, the show ended early, so I'm going to ask you some questions and things. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool to say, oh, the show's not really over?
Yeah.
And then the Groovy Grave Creeper has a cousin who's like the screeching character, and he wants to get in on it, so sometimes he sort of ducks the show, he takes over, and he tries to play his own songs and stuff. But it's really a lot of fun, and we have like a year's worth of shows, and it's going to be continued, and I'm working right now on products. I'm actually wearing the promo shirt for it and things, although your listeners can't see it. Unless they're psychic or something, but that could be possible. It's very haunted out here and stuff. And I would love to do like live appearances. Maybe we can do that. You do remotes, right, and things like that once in a while?
Sometimes when we can get them together, yeah.
I think for Halloween, your spectacular, we should have like something live.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Like on campus somewhere and stuff. And I'll come out and sign pictures and things like that. And maybe we can also just broadcast some of the shows live while we're out there and do something really cool Halloween. And I have some really cool stuff coming up too, which is promoting on Fright Farm. Speaking of Halloween, is one of the biggest sort of haunts in America. It's out of Pennsylvania, not too far from Morgantown. And I got to play there last year as a fill-in band. Well, we were invited to play like a full 2-hour set. So we're going to be doing that September 17th. And that's going to be really cool. I'm going to be so friggin' tired because that morning I'm putting on a 5K run for diabetes in Sistersville. And if any of your listeners run, it's September 17th in Sistersville at like 8 o'clock. They could look it up and stuff. But so from there, I drive to Morgantown. So I'm going to be up at like 5 in the morning. And how many musicians and recording people like are up at 5 in the morning unless you have that shift? But from there, I have to go to Morgantown, then do a quick run through of the songs, and then we go on at 7. But it's going to be I'm so looking forward to it. We do a lot of original songs. I have a song called "The Jersey Cool Is Gone" that I wrote. I mean, it's not like trashing Jersey the way it is now, but it just sort of reckons back to when Jersey was cool. Like everyone thought, oh, Jersey, like the coolest state. You had the Sopranos. And I grew up around James Gandolfini in Bergen County. And you said you're down in Sussex County?
Yeah.
So, which for everybody is not super far from Bergen County and stuff. And I lived in Orange for a while. But so we're doing that, and then another thing that I have out is called Bitchy the Clown, and I don't know if you looked that up when you were looking at.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, my website is snuggiebear.com, SNUGGYBEAR.com. All the stuff I'm working on is on there. Well, being sort of like politically incorrect, and I was a clown in the circus, one of my summer jobs in college. For all you college students, if you don't have any way of making money, go out and do weird stuff because you make money in it, not just TikTok, because not everybody makes money off of that. But I was a clown in the circus, and I've always loved weird clowns, like Shakes the Clown, which was Bobcat Goldthwait project and stuff. And so it was inspired by Krusty the Clown, but I call him Bitchy the Clown, and he's 10 times worse than Krusty. And Krusty's like Bozo compared to, or Ronald McDonald compared to him. And so I created a podcast. We were actually going to do a TV show. And Kevin Dobson, who's like from Kojak, Knots Landing, he was going to direct it, and then he passed away. So I decided to do a podcast with him, and it's called Bitching with Bitchy the Clown. It's very uncensored. No college station would run it. But for podcasting, it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a lot of other different platforms. And he basically talks about everything, but he puts down everything too. Yeah. He's an equal opportunity hating clown, which is a clown. They can get away with that and stuff like that. And he was introduced in L.A. on a radio show. And then he was invited to this thing called, what was it? This guy who is this deviant who's like a billionaire from people that own Coke or something like that. Battle Cam, that was the name of it. And he had people like Janice Dickinson and Andy Dick, like all the lower end of the F list and stuff. So he got wind of Bitchy, and he put Bitchy on the network. And basically what you do is you battle people on their webcams and things like that. So, or face lives and things, or any live feed. And the more disgusting you were, the more money you would make. Like, he would pay people to do disgusting things. So his studio in Beverly Hills, we were there battling these people. And he had Bitchy on battling a guy named Billy the Fridge, who was like a 700-pound guy who sat in his living room on a recliner, and he had two refrigerators one on each side. And he'd pull stuff out of the refrigerator and do disgusting things with it. Like, he'd eat like a 12-foot hoagie or something like that, or he'd be Belushi type and pour like mayonnaise on him and lick it up. I mean, so Bitchy wound up, and he became one of the most popular things on Battle Cam. Then he decided to put them all together in a movie, and he released it, and we had a big premiere at the Egyptian Theater in LA and Hollywood. Well, Billy the Fridge came, and he'd lost like 150 pounds or 200 pounds, so he was a lot thinner, but he had Bitchy there on the red carpet with him, and there's all these pictures. I don't know if they're out around and stuff. But then there was this one old actor there from Saturday Night Live, like the originals, when they were doing those spoof commercials and stuff, like for products. So he would do he'd always play like the announcer. So he was there, and he's like, I think at that time was probably in his late 60s. And he had like this young girl with him, like about 20, 21. So I don't know if it was his daughter or not. So we're in line, and so Bitchy looks back, and he goes, "Hey, nice to see you." I'd say, and his voice is like that. He said, "I say you brought your daughter with you and stuff." He's like, man, because it wasn't his daughter. So he like walks out of line and gives me a flip off. And I said, "Well, once you're finished with her, bring her by." So it was crazy. And one of the things in the movie, and I don't know if the movie's out anywhere, if you can find it, but Alki David is the guy's name who started all of this. He filmed for the movie. He put together 4 walls of a porta potty with no roof, and he put a camera down in it, and he got a homeless guy to live in it for like 2 days. And all the disgusting, and he got this particular guy because he did weird things with his thing, his leavings, as I call him. And he put it in the movie, and I'm like, people are getting so freaking grossed out. But of course, some people are digging on it. There's that sort of deviant society.
There's like a cult following.
Like this, or excuse the expression, eating it up. And it was just crazy. And then they had the after party. And just meeting some of the weirdos that were in this. And I'm dressed as Bitchy the Clown, trying to stay in character, with all of these weird people there and stuff. And I knew someone was going to try to beat him up, but fortunately they had security there and things. So I thought he would make a great podcast, and it's really taken off. And I wrote songs. There's the Bitchy theme song, called Bitchy for You. And I'm going to do that at the show as well. But there's episodes you can see, and there's links to it on SnuggyBear.com. So those are just some of the new things that I'm working on. But Cemetery GoGo is in such a labor of love, and I thought it's the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad people are taking to it with the way the world is.
Yeah.
It's nice that, they see something or hear something with kind of a retro feel, because retro's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're wearing a Cool Towers record shirt right now. And, I lived right near Tower Records in
Mm-hmm.
LA and in the Valley and stuff. And it was sad when it went down and when all the brick and mortar stores like that, Blockbuster and things went out. But I'm glad you were telling me that they're thinking of bringing more stores back in LA and New York.
Yeah, I mean, even just look at like record sales and stuff. I mean, there's so much like that nostalgia that's coming back. Yeah.
I mean, vinyl. Well, I mean, it's thanks to like, EVP
Mm-hmm.
players and all
Yeah.
of the DJs and stuff that are spinning them and
Mhm.
things like that. I mean, that's cool. I mean, for me, I used to love collecting them. But when CDs came out, I'm going like, oh my God, I can get a hernia lifting all my record collections and stuff. And especially like when I moved to LA,
Yeah.
I really don't want to ship all of them out. So I sold most of them or gave them to friends.
Well, it's
and
like the
things.
scene in High Fidelity. Half
Right.
the apartment is just records. He goes to move a stack and they all fall and everything.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Well, if I didn't have to move, like if it was a Clerks scene and
Yeah,
stuff, I'd
yeah.
be fine with that. And I wrote a movie for Marilyn Gigliotti, speaking of Clerks, another Jersey girl and stuff. She's in Clerks. She's the one that plays, the girlfriend. And I'm so thankful they brought her back for 3
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't put her in 2.
Yeah.
And Kevin has not used her in any of his other movies, which he should have. But it's nice that there was a campaign to get her back in
Mhm.
this, and so that she's now in 3, and that's coming out.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Should
that's going to
fun.
be really cool. And I like that they filmed it back in Jersey
Mhm.
and stuff too. And then there's another friend of mine's in the Munsters, the new Munsters
Yeah.
movie, the Rob Zombie version.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, they kept going back and forth on where they were going to release it. And
Yeah.
now they're releasing on Netflix,
Mhm.
which is cool because I don't have Paramount Plus or Hulu or any of them.
And that's the issue, is like there's so many out there anymore.
Right.
And it's getting to the point, like I look at my credit card bill and it's like, damn, like we got to pick
How
3
many
of these.
services do you need
Yeah.
and things like that, like Disney Plus?
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to like it, and then they went left. I hate like woke culture because comedy isn't comedy anymore. And coming from my comedy background, I wish more people. That's why I love Chris Rock
Mm-hmm.
and Dave Chappelle, because they don't put up with it and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think the best thing for Chris Rock is when Will Ferrell slapped him, because when I met, Will Ferrell, sorry, Will Smith and stuff, because I can't stand Will Smith. I met him, nasty, he's racist, he hates white people. How a lot of them will just kind of parlay to white people just so they can get gigs and things like that, but just a very nasty person. The thing is, it's like I just try to be around actors or people in the industry who are nice, who are regular people. I don't know how far with language you can go in the station, but when I moved to California and started meeting all different people and, people that I idolized or people that I wanted to work with, I said, is there some sort of a-hole clause that you sign when you come to LA that you change? It's like, if you were nice before, just keep your freaking personality. I always like to be who I am and not change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I embrace my nerdhood, and I'm fine with that. Geek, whatever, the creative part, but also being outspoken, because we get a chance to help charities and we get a chance to help make some changes for the good and stuff. But when you do it in a nasty way and stuff, and you're like that, it just turns people off, I think, especially most of America. I'm always worried, are we still America? Like, do people still speak English? Because every time I call someone, like in a recording, to speak in Spanish, press 2, hable, inglés and things. And I go, I never had that before. It was like, you come to the country, you should learn the language and things like that. So, and it's fine learning other language. I had the disadvantage of learning French in high school. I go, when am I going to freaking use that?
Tu veux parler le français?
Oui. C'est bon.
J'ai parlé un petit français.
Maintenant, c'est non bien. c'est non important en Amérique aujourd'hui and stuff. But I'm doing it with a Jersey accent too. It's a
Yo, friggin' aujourd'hui.
I want some wine with that aujourd'hui. Like it's useless. So, but I just want to have a lot of fun with stuff and put things out that people are gonna remember, and just make them happy. Whether it's politically or not. As long as it makes them laugh. Like I was doing a lot of stand up in New York, and then I did everything from the Laugh Factory to Flappers, which is one of the newest clubs out there in Burbank, but that's become big a lot. Even Jamie plays that club and stuff, and I played some weird shows out there. They put me on with a bunch of Muslim comics and stuff, and I'm going, well, because I'm like half Jewish and half Christian, so I'm the typical Judaic Christian American. It's like I helped found this country. So I'm going like, and then there was a black comic from like In Living Color who was playing it too. And I'm going, they're not going to like my set and think, because most of the audience was Muslim, and there were some feminist comics too, and I go after them too. So he was telling me just play to them. I said, okay, so I switched it up. My whole routine was that I just came up my cousin's bar mitzvah, and I started doing Jewish jokes one after the other. And some of the audience, they were not liking it, but I was loving it and stuff like that, because it was pushing their buttons, but it was funny. And then the feminists didn't like that it was making fun of them too, because I was saying like, anyone here kosher? Because they're not kosher and everything. And they were like, and the women are going, you just insulted half the audience and stuff. I said, just half? I'm sorry. So, I just love doing that. But with Cemetery GoGo, it's kind of, he doesn't really insult people like the Groovy Gravekeeper. He's kind of his own graveyard. Yeah. And what's great is like his jokes are just so goofy. But that was so great about Dr. Demento and things like that, and old Saturday morning shows and things like that.
And there's like a level of like familiarity with it. I mean, like you have like the vintage commercials and like a lot of like the songs and everything. Like there's something for everyone, and it really, it pushes boundaries, but it's also like familiar and nostalgic in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll play new music. Like there's a monster group in LA called what are they called? The Rhythm Coffins, and they're friends, and they have some original music out. I'll play some of their stuff, and they just played like the Whiskey and things like that. So I'm trying to give them some national attention because they're really cool. They also play like your typical songs like the Monster Mash and things like that. But some of their originals are a lot of fun, and they're great for Halloween, but they fit with him, with the Groovy Grave Crew. I'll play that, and the Dolly Rots and other sort of more indie bands that may not have a lot of publicity. But then I'll also play AC/DC, and I'll play Zeppelin, and I'll play Ozzy, and I'll mix that. And then I'll put the Archies on right after that, or the Monkey, or some weird comedy song, or just something that's so bubblegum. And that's what's great about it, because it's good for everybody. And then with the underscore of the organ, I love that, because I was thinking, what kind of underscore will I put with him talking? What else but graveyard cemetery music and things like that? And so I found a public domain piece, and it's like Opus 83 or something, and I put it under all the talking and everything. And then I wrote a song. I wrote the theme song. Which sometimes when I write stuff, I surprise myself. It's like, sometimes I think it sucks or something. I'm very hard on myself. But I loved it. And I laid the guitar part. I didn't even have a drummer. I just laid the rhythm parts, and then I did a click on the guitar to make it sound like there's a rhythm.
Yeah, to get the percussiveness.
Yeah. And then I just overlaid it with some guitar leads, and then just changed the voice for different things. So it kind of fit. So I did the whole song, and I thought, the first part of that would make a great intro to the show. And some people say, wow, what band did you use? And I said, no, it was just me with 2 guitar parts and stuff. But I think it worked great for it. And I'm hoping maybe someone will say, oh, why don't you release that as a single or something? I think, though, if we did that, it may have to add some real drums to it. And I'd love to have some organ laid up onto the parts. But I think it flows well into the beginning of the show. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, and certainly we'll get going and we'll have the shows up and everything, so it should be a lot of fun.
I'm so looking forward to it. I appreciate all you guys do. And the fact that you're from Jersey and you got out like I did is cool.
You got to run away to come home, you know?
Yeah, no, that's true. My family's still there. Things like, my cousins and everybody. So, I go back once in a while to visit and things. What's so funny, though, is one of the first things I do is go to a bagel shop. Because I don't know if Marietta has good bagels, but I've never had a bagel in Marietta.
There's no bagels.
Oh, see, yeah.
No.
Or pizza.
We have a couple pizza places to varying degrees depending on, like, what you deem is most important,
Right.
If you're looking for, like, the best sauce versus the best crust. Or,
well, just everything. And I know it's the water. Like, L.A. has horrible homemade pizza. It's very little that you would find a good pizza.
Yeah.
There's one place in West Hollywood and also in Santa Monica that has great Italian food and everything. So they're the one place. Barney's Beanery is the name of it. And they're kind of legendary. Supposedly Quentin Tarantino wrote his first movie, Pulp Fiction, sitting in a booth at Barney's Beanery. So every time I go there, I go, I'm going to sit at that booth and get inspired and things like that. So, I'm really looking forward to kind of getting out there. And as I said, I would love to do some live stuff here.
Yeah.
And, I might be also performing, still working on it, doing a live show at the Adelphia Theater.
Fun.
Which is going to be music and comedy mix. I have a comedy show called A Funny Thing Happened on My Way to the Country. And I performed at the Monroe Theater with it in Woodsfield. And we were like almost sold out with that. And that was really cool. So combined comedy with music.
Yeah.
And I wanted some local opening acts. There weren't too many I could find. So I found this comedian kid that he did an interview of named Haddon Locklear. And he's from one of the towns across the river and stuff. And so he opened up. And he was really cool. I mean, for like a 15-year-old doing stand-up comedy and thing. And then, like, half his act was saying how great it was that I asked him to be in the show. Enough already. Go to your jokes. And then we had a local magician. But, oh, my gosh, it was... I feel bad for the guy, but all his act was like store-bought magic, like the coloring book. Like you turn it one way, it's color, the other way it's black and white, and it didn't always work because the pages got stuck together. And then he had like the wand, that you pull out stuff from, all the basic stuff. And I was like, okay, just give him some sympathy clause and applause. But it was nice. And then I performed at the Shiloh Days Festival recently. That was in Friendly, and that was cool. We had the Mountaineer Girl there, which was really cool. And then I did their pageant and things like that. And so as I say, I love it out here. One thing that's great is, with the internet and media, you can do national things, international things from wherever you are. And I'm trying to get some grants now to shoot some movies out here. Because I'd like to shoot some of the stuff I've written out here as well. Between Ohio and West Virginia, amazing locations. So, and Marietta College, I think the one I wrote, Schwartzy, the one for them, would be great to shoot here in Marietta.
No, I mean, it'd be fun.
The big thing would be, getting tax incentives and things like that, especially
and all that,
as
but,
Indies.
I mean, it's so weird. Like, you have, like, the two rivers come together here. You have the downtown. But I mean, you also have like the mountains in the background and everything, the huge cemetery. Like, there's just so much in like 3 square blocks.
Oh, I know. That's what's so great. And
Yeah.
I like visiting cemeteries. That's why I call it Cemetery GoGo, because I'm so into cemeteries. And I wrote the first draft at the Oakwood Cemetery in Sistersville.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what am I going to call it? Crypt, and I love Crypt, so Cryptville, and it's because you're in the middle of a little town,
Mm-hmm.
Sistersville. So that's where the name came from. But yeah, there's just so much that you can do out here. And I wrote a movie called The Last Noel. Do you know who Sean Young is?
Yeah.
Okay, she's like in Dune
Mm-hmm.
and Blade Runner and
Yeah.
things like that. Really good friend. I said, I'm going to write a movie for her. Originally, I was thinking of the woman from the original Batman who played the Catwoman in the
Mhm.
TV series and stuff, Julie Newmar. But I said, you know what? Julie's like in her 90s and there's action, and I don't know if she's as agile, but Sean works out and she's so cool. She fits this part. It's kind of like a Murder, She Wrote, Agatha Christie type mystery. And it's kind of like for Hallmark, but more Hallmark mysteries. She loved it. And it takes place in a small town over Christmas, and she solves a mystery while she's there. But she's speaking at a college who named a department after her and a theater. So Marietta College would be like perfect location to shoot the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's small enough, but you have like this quaint, all these storefronts that are very quaint, that are very sort of Norman Rockwell-like.
Yeah.
That I think, and the history of the town would be perfect to shoot it here.
And have you ever been around in town during Christmas time?
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, all
I
the
was in the
lights and
Christmas
stuff.
parade last year. So.
Were you? That was always a lot of fun, and I mean, just the sheer amount of like effort downtown puts into it and everything.
Oh, I know. And the parade's like 8 miles long and things like that, and you have everybody lining up, which is really cool. And you have the tree dedication over by, the river and everything, and what's that, the city building and things over there. So that's why I fell in love with it. And as much as I love the University of Florida, I mean, that's a major big school. I was also the Gator for a while, like my first year there and stuff. The mascot, I did a few games as the mascot and stuff. Until I found out that my girlfriend at the time was cheating with the quarterback, and I found her in my dorm room. And I'm like,
So when you just storm in the mascot outfit.
I should have. No, that would have been so cool. Too bad we didn't have cell phones back then, and so it's like you have, Albert the Gator is like going after the quarterback in your dorm room while he's naked with your girlfriend, and so. Needless to say, she wasn't my girlfriend after that and stuff. But it was interesting. And I was also a DJ when I was at Trenton State. And I had a late night show there, and there was a movie, because I'm a little older, so this was back in the 70s, called Play Misty for Me, and Clint Eastwood starred in it. It's a great movie for people into like nostalgic who like Clint Eastwood when he was first getting started. And he played a DJ in San Francisco, in Carmel, where he wound up becoming mayor and he lived and stuff. So this woman would call up and say, play Misty for me every night. That was Misty's song. That was a 60s sort of pop song. And it's like, I'm Misty, like Johnny Mathis did it. So she kind of got obsessed with him and then fell in love with him. And they met and they did it. Oh, she became a psycho after that because he was dating this blonde at the time. And she kidnaps the blonde and just goes psycho and everything. It's almost like the Wicked Witch of the West and the stuff in it. And but this woman, coincidentally at the same time, her name was Misty, and she would call me up. But instead of playing Misty, because it was rock, she wanted Stairway to Heaven. So I would play Stairway to Heaven every time she would call. But then she lived in Philadelphia. So, which wasn't very far, across the border. So she actually Ardmore, which was straight on the outskirts. So I said, I have to meet you, because she had this amazing voice and stuff. So she met me in my dorm, and we just started like having a relationship. I mean, she was really hot and stuff too, but sweet, and but she was into some weird stuff too, things. So eventually, after one of the football players threw a cherry bomb in the shower when I was there, because he was, like back then too, there was a lot of like abuse. So this one guy was really abusing people in the dorm and stuff, and I've always been someone who stuck up for people. So he didn't like that, and he got kicked off campus. So he came back, and he put a cherry bomb in my shower while I was in there. Fortunately, I was able to kick it out, but it exploded, and exploded the shower door and everything. And so then she kind of not hung out as much for her life, but we still saw each other and things. And then I transferred to University of Florida, and then I found out that she wound up getting pregnant, of course, and then had the baby and wound up doing what she had to do to raise the baby. But then she sent her sister, like when I moved back to New Jersey after University of Florida, her sister started hanging around, her younger sister. So, and that's when I was living in Orange. Mm-hmm. And then we had a relationship for a while. That's a kind of a cool thing. I don't know if people would be like, well, you're such a slut. But, as long as you're legal and they wanted to hang out and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, the cherry bomb and stuff, there's certainly like incidents of comedy in it. I mean, we're getting on the point of it almost sounds like a Netflix special.
Oh, I know, doesn't it? One of those like reality crime shows.
Yeah, almost like you can't make this up. Like.
Yeah, things that happen in like university showers and or just in dorms and things. I did create a sitcom recently that my agent is trying to sell now about living in a small town in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. It's called Check Me Out, and it takes place at the library. That's like the center point of gossip land there. And but the town, instead of Sistersville, it's called Siblingburg and something. Siblings Point and stuff, which is funnier and stuff. And it's about all the weird things that happen in a small hillbilly type town, because no one thinks there's culture. I mean, there's apathy there and things like that. But some people actually try to do something. Mm-hmm. But I even ran for delegate there this year, and but. The apathy, and there was so few people that showed up to vote, and the guy that was there before, he doesn't do anything, but he was reelected because he had lawn signs. I think that's the only recognition. Do you know what he's done? I said, well, no, but his name sounds familiar. And I go, why? I said, well, I think I saw a sign. And I said, from God? No, on the lawn. So it's like, it's so sad. And then a woman in Sistersville, she lives across the street from the voting precinct. Mm-hmm. I asked her when I was on the way to vote, I said, are you going to vote? Because she said she'd vote for me. And she says, nah. And I said, why not? I said, nah, I don't feel like getting off the porch. And I'm going, I'll carry you. I'll wheel you. I don't care. Just get up and vote, because what if I lose by one vote? It's going to be your fault. Unfortunately, I didn't lose by one vote and stuff, but people were saying, it's always like you get that participation trophy now. It's like, yeah, but you got a good percentage. That's like saying, oh, I applied for a loan, but I only got like $10 of it. That's not going to help pay my rent or buy things and stuff like that. But people are going, now, you need to run again. But, so with everything going on, if I decide to run again, it'll be an adjunct with all the other stuff. Because I'm so focused on the radio show and the TV stuff. And, I just want to keep putting stuff out there and make it fun for people. Mm-hmm. And one thing is, when I do convention, I do a lot of autograph shows and conventions. I don't care if you have a lot of money. I mean, I only charge like $10, $15 for the pictures. Even my Lampoon stuff. I mean, the books I'll charge cover price. Yeah. But I'm not going to charge like an extra $20 to get signed, or have someone pay $30 to get your picture taken with them. Because without fans, without people that even want to buy your stuff,
without that support base.
Yeah, it's useless. And all these actors, they just get so out of hand with their pricing and things like that and stuff. And, I know some of the older actors who don't make residuals and things like that. I mean, my residuals from Raymond are over. I don't get anything from that. But still, some people save up. I did San Diego Comic-Con for 30 years. And some people save up around the country like a whole year just to pay for hotels and to get into the show, and the cost of the food, which is like insane down there during that. I mean, hot dogs like $20 and things. Just a finger of beer is like $10 and stuff like that. You have to pretend to be drunk just so you fit in down there because it's so expensive. And then you have all these actors charging exorbitant amounts of money. $80, $100, $150. I did Steel City Con in Monroe. I don't know if you know about that convention. I've done that a few times. And who was this? The one that was charging like $150. I think the guy from Slipknot, I think he was charging like an exorbitant amount of money and stuff. But, and then some of the other actors. And then I feel bad because then you have these other actors that have been in a lot of stuff, but they're just not like William Shatner he was charging a lot of money. But then you had like people from The Warriors, which is one of my favorite movies. And they're like barely getting a line with $40 and stuff like that. So, and I would rather support them or, Michael O'Keefe from Caddyshack, the one that played Danny and stuff. I actually wrote a film for him, and he lives in Florida. There were gaps where like the lines were for everybody else and not for him. One of the coolest thing though is when I was there for it was the vacation reunion, because Dana Barron's a good friend of mine who played the original Audrey. Yep. And hopefully going to work with. She's so sweet and stuff. But Christina Ricci was there. And I've always had a major crush on her, and I thought, I gotta meet Christina Ricci. So a guy who actually was involved in a lawsuit of a movie that was stolen that I wrote with Irwin, a dog movie, that Tiny Lister. Do you remember him? He was Zeus in WWE, and then he was in the Friday movies. Okay, yeah. And he was in The Fifth Element. He played the president. Nasty guy. He threatened to meet me up. He stole my script when I signed him to it, brought it to a producer. They sold it to Lionsgate, got it made. Mira Sorvino's in it, and Ralph Macchio, from Cobra Kai and stuff. And it's awful. They butchered the script, turned out to an awful movie, but they released it. So I got with the investor to do a lawsuit, and he produced a movie with Christina called Disturbed. It was with her, and John Cusack. Terrible movie and stuff, but it had a decent budget. And so I thought, I could use him to meet her and get her on one of my projects. But then he kind of went off and disappeared. So I said, okay, she's going to be there. So I had like 2 minutes with her. I was like, oh no. Let's talk. Here's my number. Get in touch with me. And that was it. That was like the extent of my meeting Christina. But I know through my agent I could probably get to her, to get a script. But she looks so cool, even in person and stuff. And she dresses in black, just like she does her characters and stuff. But she was so sweet. So, I mean, there are so many actors. Like, one of my favorites to meet was Keanu Reeves. You know how everyone says he's one of the nicest guys, just down there. He is. He'll sit at like a Starbucks, and even if he has friends there, if someone buys says take a picture, he'll do it, and he'll ask them what they do and things like that. So those are the kind of people I like hanging out with. Yeah. One of my best friends is from Twin Peaks. You ever watch that?
A little bit.
Okay, he was also in A Few Good Men.
Okay.
The movie.
Yeah.
He was the white soldier that was asked to kill, that was on trial, James Marshall. And what's funny is he's from Jersey. He actually went to my high school. Really? Yeah, which is so funny. But a really cool guy, but also weird and stuff too. But he's a musician also. But he's just nice, and that's the kind of people I like hanging out with. Well, from your part of Jersey, there's some famous people that came from there. Yeah. Like, isn't Madonna from around where you are? Like, not too far?
Not too far, more south, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, we had Joe Pesci, and he grew up around us, and James Gandolfini, John Travolta grew up around us, and Eddie Murphy lived in Saddle River.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of famous people that came from my area. The girl from Goonies, she went to my high school.
Really?
And this is just a typical Jersey high school and stuff. But now even that's become they got rid of our mascot. We were the Cowboys, and we were playing crosstown rivals, the Indians, that was in Hillsdale. And someone, like 2 years ago, complained that Cowboys are racist and Indians are stereotyped. Well, the school board voted to take the names away, which is ridiculous. I think we're like the Broncos now. Like, you know, I'm going to wear my cowboy shirt every time I go back to New Jersey, to Montvale and stuff. And it's the same with, you know, the Indians. Like when Cleveland got rid of the Indians' name, first thing I did was go out and find the coolest Indians windbreaker, like the reversibles, that still had Yahoo on it and the name Cleveland Indians on it. So when I go up to Cleveland to fly out of there next month, I'm going to wear that at the airport. And I'm going to go, how are you? I'll probably get beat up.
What's nuts about the Jersey one, though, is, like, they're going to rename it and completely just overlook anything that, like, is in the vicinity of the high school. Like,
oh, I know. You know.
Because when's the last time you heard of, like, a Jersey Cowboy on a Jersey Bronco?
Oh, I know. Seriously. You know, it's like, what's the use of having a Bronco? Who's going to ride it and stuff? It's just ridiculous. And then with Indians, so I'm always going to be, like, what was your mascot?
We were the Cougars, because we were up along the AT, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, that one makes sense, though. Like,
right,
but we're in the mountains there, so, like.
I don't know. Cougars is that sexist term about women over 50. So, see, it's as, like, anal as you could get, trying to just disparage anything that's, you can make anything sort of phobic or something like that. Nope, those cougars are on the endangered species list now and stuff. But, yeah, it's just ridiculous. So what's Cleveland now?
I don't even know.
Oh. Are they the Commodores? Or Commanders?
I'm from the East Coast. I don't pay attention to
yeah,
stuff
but you're in
out here.
Ohio now. It's like I had to adapt California lore when I moved there. For sure. Surfer man, it's so cool. But, you know, then you had every other different stereotype out there, too. I used to walk, I mean, the way California is now, I'm thinking when I go back there next month, I'm flying into LAX, I'm going to get mugged or things like that. Have you heard of Van Nuys, California?
No.
Okay, Sherman Oaks, where like a lot of celebrities live and stuff. That's a nice area, and then it's along what they call the famous Ventura Boulevard, where like parts of American Graffiti were filmed. Well, this one road called Van Nuys Boulevard goes all the way up to Panorama City, which is one of the most gang-ridden parts of the San Fernando Valley. And then it's all like little Mexican shops and Latino shops all the way down to the Sherman Oaks border. Suddenly you go from like, you know, a hacienda to like a mansion and things like, and you think one street's gonna like keep people away like it's an invisible shield or something. Well, I used to walk up there and I would wear like the worst clothes and I had like long hair, even longer than now, and no one would bother me because they didn't look like I had money or anything. That's what you have to do to adapt out there and stuff. But then people would go, man, you got a joint. You know, they would try to like score drugs off of me or a cigarette and stuff. And I'd be like, no, man. I'd pretend I was like, you know, Mexican or something. No, man, I got nothing for you now, man. You know, come back later. It was just so ridiculous. But that's the one way you survive out there and stuff. But, well, I think we just sort of tangent because of the Jersey thing and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I've covered my whole friggin' life. Well, not everything, but a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the start of this, I mean, I had a feeling if I even attempted to read the top of your resume, we would spend half the episode, and here we are. But
Well, that's what I said. I've just been very grateful and lucky. I've always been taught just stay humble and, be really, if you work really hard and if you get to somewhere that you feel you've reached your goal, great, but don't go around being an ass about it. And that's what the problem is. It turns so many people off and then they lose fans. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be someone, and I'm not like a superstar. I'm not one who makes $8 million a movie or a project. I have to hustle as much as anybody. That's why even some people said, oh, you wrote for this show or you worked on that or you were with National Lampoon for all those years. I said, yeah, but I still wear rock T-shirts and art T-shirts, and I go to Walmart or to Kroger's or in LA it's Ralph's and things like that. I still look for sales, but because not everybody is rich out there. The perception is so misguided.
Well, that and the barrier to entry is so low. I mean, you have a home studio. We're here at the college station with 2 mics and a laptop.
Right.
I mean,
that's all you need, and you're sending your message out to everybody and stuff, and worldwide now. I mean, I look at some of the dialogue, and I mean, like you were saying, Netflix. I feel bad because I saw the trailers for the Munsters, and Daniel Roebuck, who's playing Grandpa in it, he's a famous actor. He's been in a lot of stuff, character actor. He's the one that I'm friends with, and I'm going like, well, if it goes to Netflix, it's probably not going to be very good and stuff. So I'm kind of concerned because I've been also reading the ratings on it and some of the reviews, because they made like Herman like gay looking, like he's very feminine and things like that. And Sherry Moon is not a very good. I couldn't picture her as Lily, unless Lily worked at a strip club or something. But it's going to be interesting to see his take on it, the way he did Halloween and things like that. So, but with platforms like that, and then I was so glad that I was able to get mine in Amazon because, one thing that was good about Amazon, it was already pre-made. It wasn't judged as something that Amazon producers and investors said, you need to parameter this, you need the showrunner that's going to stick to this, because then you might lose the originality of the show. So I was glad I was able to produce it on my own and then just picked it up. So we'll see. Just like, I mean, Doug Jones from Hocus Pocus, who played Billy, he's a friend. But this Hocus Pocus 2, I had no intention of seeing it. It's like so low. And I wanted to like the Chucky series. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's on, is it AMC or, I'm trying to remember what the network is. Maybe it is AMC. But Chucky lost his Chuckiness to me and stuff. At first, I'm hoping the new season, because there's more of Tiffany in it, that Chucky just goes ballistic, because that's what we love about Chucky, is that he just kills everybody. He doesn't care, and so we'll see what happens with that. And I have the Chucky doll and the Tiffany doll, the moving, talking ones. And I'm waiting for it to really come to life without the battery. I took the batteries out. Like in the original movie. Come on, Chucky. Talk. I'm waiting for him to push someone out the window. And I keep my knives away from him, though. I do keep them locked up. But we'll see. I collect a lot of bobbleheads, and I have all these really cool ones and things. But, Chucky's kind of like the apex of my collection and stuff.
Apex predator of your collection. You just go rip the bobbleheads off.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for too. I think my building's haunted because I live in a building with a lot of older people, and some of them have passed away there. But sometimes I think I'm hearing noises, but it's just the old people whining and things like coming through the walls. And but it's a great place because they turn the hearing aids down so I could rehearse. At least I thought that, and then recently they told me, "We hear you." And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me anything? It's like, because I forgot. Because their memories go too and stuff. It's like, okay, so I turn it down a little bit and then pretend that I'm playing low and things like that. But because you have to kind of keep rehearsing for these shows coming up, but yeah, life's interesting out here.
Yeah.
But as I said, I love meeting the people, and any fans that I have, I'm so grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so fortunate that, this show, Cemetery GoGo, has really been taking off.
Yeah.
As I said, with the other stations, now with getting product, and I would love to turn to a film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would make a great sort of weird horror film, kind of like Elvira, when she did her movie.
Yep.
Kind of like that. So the groovy grave creeper, his character, and because he's kind of cartoony, since that's what my drawing background is, maybe even do it as a stop motion.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of cool, like Coraline or something, or Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
But do it as that kind of comedy, like the groovy grave creeper uncovers some sort of murder, which is funny for someone who lives at the cemetery. Or they're bringing back dead people for evil purposes, and he has to stop them. It's like, oh, it's okay being zombies, but not if you're going to be doing it for evil. So he has to kind of stop them, or make it like a mad monster party. I don't know if you ever heard of that, and that was from the '60s with one of the was like a Harryhausen. Kind of thing, stop motion. The same people who did, I think, like Rudolph and them did the stop motion on it. And it was like all the monsters, like Boris Karloff and the Universal Monsters, they have a party, but it's to do something. And it's just so cool. And they have all this weird music. I think Vincent Price does a voice in it and everything. But maybe have the groovy gravekeeper or something like that. And I would love to have him as a Halloween costume, like sold at all the spirit stores and things like that. And so my agent is working on kind of doing that. But I would love to have, appearances, and I think Marietta would be a great spot for it.
No, I mean, it should be good. You got, how many concerts set up? The Adelphia, the one in PA.
Well, the one in PA, the Adelphia, we don't have a date yet for.
It's coming up.
Yeah, the guy, Big Rick, who is the one that owns it, he's a radio DJ. He and I have been friends for a long time now, since I've been out here, and I've been on his show. He's now booking all the talent. And he had Billy Bob Thornton out here, and Billy Bob's a friend of mine, and I got to hang out with him when he was out here. And then I was supposed to go to see the Tone Loc show, because I met Tone Loc in Palm Springs, and he got the rights to Bebe's Kids, and he had wanted to do like kind of a new movie, but never was able to coordinate with him out here. And I was wondering how big he was going to go over at the Adelphia, and it looked like from pictures that he had a lot of people. But what's funny, he has 2 songs, and he had to stretch them out like over an hour. So he's singing Wild Thing for half an hour. And fucking Cole Medina and stuff like that. But he's cool. He's like, a nice guy for a rapper and things like that. They're not all gangster rappers and stuff. But for the Adelphia, we'll see. I'm still setting that up. But I don't know if any people from here live in Pennsylvania, but if they're around the weekend of the 17th up near Fright Farm outside of Morgantown, please come.
Yeah. No, we got those. We'll be starting up the show. Obviously planning the Spooktacular coming up for Halloween.
I am Halloween is my favorite time of year. And I could live Halloween. If you saw my apartment, you would know, especially and Chucky's not the only thing scary in there and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm so looking forward to being part of it. Anything I could do to help you guys and stuff. And maybe we can do something on your TV network as well.
No,
definitely.
Which I think would be really cool. Cross-platform and stuff, So, small town but never a dull moment kind of thing.
No. And you're not really like super small. Sistersville, small town. You guys are like even bigger than a village, and so you're like a small city and stuff. I consider it because you have so much stuff here, and you're right off. I love that you're right off a freeway.
Yes.
Like you don't have to spend too much time going through the mountains to get to it. So, and I love living along the river, which is really cool, and you guys have the stern wheels and
yeah, coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and all of the festivals that you guys have out here and the sports teams. You know, I love that. I haven't seen if your football team won this week.
I don't know.
I know your season started.
Yeah, we just started.
But I know University of Florida won.
Yeah.
But they didn't play. Oh wait, did they play a ranked team? I don't know. But I love that Marietta, you know, has a lot of school enthusiasm as well. It's not just like a school. Oh, we're just gonna go and exist and things like that. It does remind me a little of Trenton State because you know the campus is pretty, and you.
No, I mean very similar. I mean. I went, and it's now what, TCNJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just right down to like even like the brown brick buildings. And everything. Like
the stones and everything, and the fact that you have such pretty landscape around, and you can walk right down into town. So I'm just like, I really I know I've been rambling, but I really appreciate being part of this now. Maybe we can make this even the flagship station for the show and stuff, which would be really cool. Everything comes out of Marietta. So thank you. Thanks for having me on here.
Thanks for coming in today, and certainly thanks for giving us the show. I mean, it's not every day a local college station gets to say we have a syndicated show. So.
Oh, I'm honored. The fact that you guys like it enough, because you never know what a modern audience likes and stuff. With people, you'd like to think that people are the same, whatever generation, but times change and likes change and stuff. But I think for this kind of stuff, which is why I don't think Comic-Cons will ever go out. There's always going to be a huge faction of people that are either sort of outsiders or are just looking for something fun because we're all human. Yeah. And our psyches are the same, whether they throw stuff at you or not, to try to get you to switch over to do whatever. Try to make something fun. And that's what I try to do with the show.
So, well, thanks for coming in today.
Pleasure.
And, we'll get the show started up. 5 o'clock, probably be Thursday, but we'll send out a social media blast and everything for that. So stay tuned in, and until then, this is Cole Longcor signing off.